Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I have the clerk please report House Resolution 85?
Clerk, please report.
House Resolution 85, a resolution recognizing March 4th, 2022 as PFAS Chemical Awareness Day in Kentucky. Representative Cole Carney.
Lady from Jefferson 40.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to sponsor last Friday's resolution with the gentleman from Jefferson 29. He had to leave before this resolution could be called on March 4th, but I appreciate his dedication to raising awareness for this issue. House Resolution 85 establishes March 4th as PFAS Awareness Day, and it's in an effort to make this body more aware of what are more correctly called forever chemicals. Many of us in this chamber may not have heard of PFAS, which stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, but you may know that many of the products have them that we use in our daily lives. As the resolution states, you'll find them in food packaging, non-stick cookware, outdoor gear, and stain-resistant carpet. They're here in this room, and they're in our bloodstreams. These chemicals, of which there are several thousand types, were first created about 80 years ago, but they will be with us much, much longer. And that's because they break down so slowly and accumulate in our food chains. The impact of these chemicals have on us overall is massive. Studies show that it increases cancer and cholesterol, decreases fertility, and our ability to fight infections. In children, these chemicals have led to developmental delays and behavioral changes, and children are especially at risk because their smaller size means they're more likely to get higher doses per pound. PFAS may do a good job of keeping stains off our carpet and food off our cookware, but they are bad for us in just about every other way. Last fall, the EPA announced a strategic roadmap that the agency will follow to take as many of these chemicals out of our products, our environment, and most importantly, our bodies. As the agency said, these actions will build upon one another and lead to more enduring and protective solutions. Around the same time that the EPA put this new roadmap in place, the Kentucky Department for Environmental Protection said it tested surface water in every major watershed in the Commonwealth and found PFAS in 90% of its samples. The United States has taken dangers like these seriously in the past. Many, if not all of you, are aware of the effort to remove lead from our gas and paint and asbestos from our schools and buildings. Yet even decades after we recognize just how destructive lead and asbestos are, we are still dealing with the problems they caused and are still causing in places like Flint and many other communities around our nation. As difficult as this work has been, it will seem easy when it comes to reducing our exposure to forever chemicals. We have made positive gains when it comes to removing them from our water and many day-to-day products, but this work is just starting. PFAS Chemical Awareness Day is important because it reminds us of the critical need to stay on this journey. If we want a better world for our children and the generations that follow, we have to meet this challenge now. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield to the gentleman from Jefferson 29.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 29.
Thank you. You know, when we look back at our history, you think of some of the horrible chemicals and particles that have been around us all the time. And we find out eventually, once we become aware, after research and the scientists have their go at it, we find that these things are harmful to our human body. Think of nicotine, asbestos, lead, as the lady said, lead in gasoline. Everybody, maybe not everybody, but a lot of you guys remember leaded gasoline. You could go to the gas station and choose leaded or unleaded. Now it's all unleaded. But there was a lot of lead in that gas, and there was a lot of lead in paint. And if you're old like me, you remember commercials in the 60s of little kids chewing on paint chips. Even though the harmful effects of lead in paint were discovered in the 40s, it wasn't till 1978 that lead in paint was eliminated in harmful effects. So today we're talking about PFAS. Now after today, you'll all be aware of PFAS chemicals. They are forever chemicals, and they're all around us, and they're accumulating in the streams and the rivers in our bodies. They never go away. They're not biodegradable. Well, they're created and they never go away. Think about that. Where are they going? Well, they're collecting out there in the areas that are very harmful to us. So, Teflon, fire-resistant material, clothing. This resolution simply asks that you be aware of the forever chemicals, PFAS, because it's always, you must have an awareness before we just start doing something about it. So today you're aware, or actually last Friday, but I had to leave early. You were aware then too. So I yield back to the lady from Jefferson.
Lady from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for adoption.
Without objection, so ordered.